The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. This podcast is hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the sport of bowling. You will get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this generation, who just happens to be the son of a living legend. So, without further ado, let's introduce you to the host of the show, Rad Rob Francois, Dr. Ocho, and the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am your host, Rad Rob Francois. I hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for joining us live here on Facebook on Johnny Petraglia's page, as well as our YouTube channel, Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. If you're not subscribed to that, please search that on YouTube and subscribe. We would appreciate that. We're also live on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Rad Rob Gaming. I got the epic goat going here. Usually this is like a playoff goat. But there's nobody in the fucking playoffs right now. I have no idea why I'm doing it. But regardless, let's introduce our co-host. First, in the gold corner, 5'4", 225 pounds. He is the resident doctor of Straight Up 5. It is the one and only Dr. Tiberius Martin Johnson Ocho IV. Good evening, Ocho.
I'm 5'3", but I got measured with Skechers on that day with a heel lift. So
that's fair. No, that's fair. What's going on, buddy? Good to have you here.
Well, it's great to be here. Is it great to be here? I don't know. It's great that you have me here, but for me, it's just bullshit anyway.
Oh, hold on. We already got somebody saying Ocho.
Of course.
Yeah, just popped on. That's great. There you go.
I'm looking flat. Oh man, on location.
Look at the guns.
Who says that?
I don't know. Some weird guy. The third man of the team. He is the man with the name on the marquee. The sexiest bowler in the entire world. I was going to say New Jersey, but fuck it. He's the sexiest bowler in the entire world. He didn't do so great this weekend, but we'll get into that. But regardless of how well or poorly he bowled this past weekend, he still has $1 million smile. It is one and only Mr. Johnny Petraglia Jr. What's up, JP?
Not much, guys. Great to be here as always. And actually, you were spot on. I did bowl atrociously this weekend, and I would like to dive into that at some point tonight. What's up, buddy?
We can lead right off with that. I don't give a fuck. So, yeah, let's go, Johnny. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Thanks for watching us and the PBA League. PBA League just launched this week, right?
They're bowling live right now. I think they started 8 minutes ago. The first round of the Anthony qualifying division.
So we're going to get beat up.
How are the Saskatchewan Scoochilingats doing today? Is that one of the teams, or was I off a little bit?
No, I think we got the Pounders, the Lumberjacks.
The Pounders.
I think the team you just mentioned bowls the Waco Wonders division, maybe the Carter division.
Saskatchewan Scoochilingats. Got it.
I think so, yeah.
The Wonders don't burn it down to the ground. That's all I'm saying.
Easy. The government burnt them down.
Too soon, yeah. Too soon. So, Johnny Petraglia Jr., what did you have to bowl in this weekend, and why did you suck at it?
And did you use bowling balls?
You announced why you're spare shooting, but I mean, what happened?
Maybe he didn't use a bowling ball. Did you use something else? Did you use a square rock because you had to make it even? Like, there's times where Johnny is so good that they'll be like, no, here's what you have to use, and it's a box of tissues, and he's got to roll a box of tissues down, and he still freaking makes the cut.
That's fair. No, he's right. No, he is right. Were you trying to just take it easy on everybody, and you just kind of went too easy on them?
I wish that was the case. Matter of fact, it was so bittersweet about the weekend for me. First off, this was Greg Tack's dual pattern marathon held at my home bowling alley, Carolier Lanes in North Brunswick. And the left lane was, I don't even know how long it was, between 35 and 38 feet. And the right lane was between, I want to say, 41 and 44 feet.
Okay, break it down. I know Ocho's going to say it. Dumb it down for the
common. The lanes are 60 feet long, I thought. So why?
Right, I thought they're all the same length, right? So,
figure the 36th episode, you might have an idea of what I mean when I say that. But anyway,
newbies to the show may not. We're world right now.
To all the newbies on the show. The length of the pattern. Thank you, Steph. It was 36 on one lane and 39 on the other. The length on one lane kind of forced you further to the gutter because the middle was very dry. So there.
Which one was that? The shorter pattern you had?
The shorter pattern. Yeah. And then the longer pattern on the right lane, there was kind of a trick where you could have stayed close to the gutter, or at least seemingly so for a little while, but then you were forced to migrate towards the center of the lane, send the ball a little bit for right-handers, left to right, left-handers, right to left, and get it somewhere around that 8, 9, 10 board at the break point, say 40-something feet down the lane.
Hold on, Johnny. I don't want to interrupt you. The breaking news. Aren't you a Brooklyn boy? Says David Beaker.
Hey, Dave. No, I am not. My dad's a Brooklyn boy. I was born in Staten Island Hospital, and I grew up in New Jersey.
That's fair. Okay. All right. Sorry. Continue.
Oh, so
I'm not sure how many times I can get you to lose your thought during the whole show.
No, I'm on track tonight. I'm on track tonight.
Nicole. Nicole's in the house.
Happy birthday, Nicole! 3 months ago.
Do it, Ocho. She's here for you, Ocho.
Of course, and it's all the same shit when you're born in Staten Island and you basically cross the bridge 6 miles to live in Jersey. So it's all the same shit.
True that. True. By the way, it's 2-1 high to Ocho. Just saying, Ocho's in the lead.
I know, this is awesome. Say it. You look great tonight.
Getting back to oil patterns, 37-39.
36-39.
The oil patterns, I didn't find the patterns to play extraordinarily difficult. I thought they were very challenging, and you definitely had to be focused and understand, like, there may be times where you have to make a quicker move than normal, or what you think may be working may not be. That wasn't my issue.
Fuck. I thought it was.
Man.
God damn it. That
He's
already.
So guys, it's all right. So what he's saying is
break it down
first.
first.
So what he's saying is he didn't have a problem even transitioning, because sometimes when you transition, you almost transition late. He probably got ahead of the pattern breakdown, which, because it sounds like he was in the pocket. He just missed a lot of spares, I think, is what he's going to say. Yeah. I'm going to, again, go out on a limb. We haven't talked about this. We haven't rehearsed this. He said the short pattern, he was out to the gutter, which he can do. He can tickle it to 2, 3, and the ball's going to come back. So he probably had a better time on the 36-foot pattern than the 39.
By the way, doesn't he look beautiful there? Like even
DVR pose, even DVR pause, he's still like, just there's nothing wrong with the guy. It's like it's pleasing.
He's back in a different.
And then I probably on the 39-foot pattern, even though I bet you he didn't carry as much, but he still missed easy spares on the 39-foot pattern. Probably got ahead of the transition, so he moved even like before he thought he should, and it was the right move. But yet, maybe left a weak 7 that he missed, or maybe left a whatever the 2-8 is on the other side. Probably left a couple of them and then missed them. I'm talking about what he did, and I have no idea.
Well, really, what happened was, and goes back to my Facebook post, was where I said it's inexcusable to miss spares, was I gave away approximately, on average, 15 to 20 pins a game in just spare shooting. And the big issue in my brain is I'm typically consistent with spare shooting. I'm the guy that grinds out 180 and bowls a bunch of 230s. I'm not the kind of guy that bowls 270, 260, 180, 260. So what happened at that tournament was my shot execution was very good. I was wired on the left lane. I was wonderful.
That's the 36-foot pattern?
Yes.
Right? What did I say? I said I bet he was
spot on. You were spot on, yeah. Of course.
But what happened on the longer pattern for me was, in the early going, was the first thing that happened was I fell for the tees. And when I say the tees is, there's always a zone that goes against the grain that says you shouldn't play here, but it deceivingly looks like you can play here. What's up, JD?
What's up, JD?
We'll talk about how fantastic he bowled at some point in the show too. But there's always a zone that's a tease that basically says it looks like you can play here, but it's not going to last. And even if it does, you're going to have to execute perfectly. And then there's always a zone you have to migrate. On the left side of the lane, because the traffic is so much lower compared to the right side, when I got to the point that I had to migrate too far in or to the right, my laydown point was in all the heaviest right-handed traffic, so my ball would grab the lane a little bit sooner. So what it did was instantly, like I'm talking about before the arrows, my ball was extremely oversensitive to any change that I made, whether it was a little too grabby at the bottom, or I gassed it an extra half mile an hour, or my launch angle was an extra degree to the left. But the biggest thing was shooting spares on the short pattern compared to the long pattern when you haven't practiced spare shooting. My biggest problem with myself is I've been focusing so much on getting myself physically ready to bowl an event that I was so focused on execution and good shot making that I completely forgot, hey, you're bowling on one of the hardest dual pattern conditions around this area. The thing you should be doing is focusing on filling every box. So
what I predicted that you that on the left lane you had it dialed in, because I know you could swing it out to 2 or 3 if need be, and your ball will roll the way it has to, face up. You won't have a problem with the heads or anything. And then I said on the right lane, you might have. I thought that maybe you instead of you moved a little sooner on purpose, and that maybe it worked out. But I thought maybe you had wiggle room, and that you left a couple a couple of weak hits, like a 7 or whatever the opposite of a 2-8 would be for a right-hander, the 3-9 maybe, that your ball didn't face up. But apparently it was the exact opposite, where if you threw it right, you were good. Or you said it hit early, so it would almost face up early. But if you tried to compensate for that, you'd sail it almost.
Yeah, and you're actually
seems the whole world is out to get you.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Everything's wrong and nothing seems right.
It's gonna become a staple on this show now.
It is. I just like seeing you laugh.
But
feeling inside. All right, go ahead.
the one cardinal mistake I made, which is actually kind of cool. What's up, AG?
What's up?
That's good for me is I started with urethane on the right lane in like the first 3 frames of game 1 and never again threw it on the right lane. I immediately went to resin, and I immediately went to where I'm comfortable, trying to play somewhere like 15 to 18 at the arrows, getting it somewhere around 7, 8, 9.
Isn't that a dad move also, basically? Like,
that is 100% a dad mood or a dad move. By the way, how's my connection? Is it good?
You're good, man.
It's better now. Yeah.
Oh, good. I always, it's my once a week thing that I got to always check on.
I was glad that because literally when you locked up, we didn't just sit here dead air. I said, let me try and figure out what he did. And again, Dr. Ocho, what can he do? So
you're his coach.
Close. Yeah, I'm coach. I'm bowling coach, life coach.
Oh wow, yeah, that's true.
So
that's unfortunate, Johnny. But I mean, like,
when you hear it back, you'll kind of get a kick out of it.
Yeah, he will.
Right, sounds
spares,
good.
Dude. Spares are fundamental. I mean, you know how much you can lose really when you just miss a few spares here and there. I mean, it's just was it just lack of discipline on that, or just, I mean, where was your head at?
It's a multitude of things. First off, when you're bowling on a difficult condition like that, you shoot a lot more spares that you don't typically shoot. I mean, I bowled with JD Santalucia, Stephanie Casey, and Jen Russo. Those are the people on the pair with me. Those are 3 decorated bowlers, especially in this area, respected bowlers.
I'm sorry. People in the audio are like, why the fuck is he always laughing at Johnny? It's because of the comments we have in the live chat. If you're not here in the live chat, you need to be. Anyway, I'm sorry.
I fixed my hat, JD.
Did he crack me up? I'm sorry.
But speaking of those guys, like, I don't see Jen Russo. She's a right-hander. I don't see Jen shoot a 1-3-9 that often. I don't see JD shoot a lot of 4-count designs through the middle, or you know what I mean. So even let's just say the 3-6-10 or the 2-4-7 for a lefty, the amount of those that you have to shoot.
Yeah.
Especially when you're going from pair to pair on 2 different patterns and shooting them so frequently. Like you guys said earlier, crossing the double wood, the 2-8 and the 3-9.
Yeah.
These are difficult combinations because we already don't shoot them frequently. On a typical league night, your average 220 bowler maybe shoots double wood once a night, if that.
It's corner pins, really. It's
corner pins, 4 pins, 6 pins, solid 8, solid 9. Here's a random blower 7-10, and then your night's over, you shoot 7-10.
So without context, I mean, I just saw that on your Facebook page, and you're like, man, it's embarrassing how bad I bowled. Spares are so key or whatever. And I'm thinking, like, when I hear that, I'm like, oh, you missed a bunch of fucking 7 pins, or you missed,
7 of them. I missed 7 7-pins in 8 games.
Oh, you really did.
Okay, well, then never mind. And that
means why he didn't even text me back. He had an open invite to the Ocho Palace that night. Never even responded.
I did too, but I wasn't able to make a flight, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, sorry about
so
that.
on top of the weird, geometry figures you got on the lane, you had missed a lot of 7 pins. That's hard.
Yeah, I'm turning my hat back sideways because I feel awkward.
All right, that's right. But that sucks, man. Like, I'm sorry to hear. But I mean, everybody has bad days. You're still.
You know what? It's honestly, I said it was bittersweet. What up, JJ? Miss you, homie. Hope everything's good out in Vegas.
There's a humbling moment that reminds you how tough
Hey,
it
Jack.
is, and maybe that sparks you back up to get back on it then too. Like
what was cool for me was my sister showed up because she's only 30 minutes down the road from Cavalier, and my dad drove all the way up from Jackson to watch. And not only was it cool that they were both there, but I got to see my dad mingle with people he hasn't seen in a while in Cavalier. And like I said, I actually threw the bowling ball very well. I felt very, very good. I threw 1 or 2 in the gutter, but considering where I was playing on that left lane, like they weren't that big of a miss. Like I missed 2 left off my hand and went in the gutter. Shit, it happens, right?
Yeah.
But overall, my execution, like I felt physically good getting to the foul line. And I was in a relatively upbeat mood the entire time. I did not get down on myself. I think because I knew that the scoring pace was lower. And what my dad always has said to me is you never know when you're going to bowl back-to-back 260s. Like that thought's always in the back of my head. So through 5 games, I go 160, 170, 250, 200. So I'm only about 20 or 30 under, and the cut at that point was -3.
Right.
So even through those first 4 games, I was still somewhat in contention. So that was decently big to me. Again, I haven't bowled any.
Real quick,
Yeah.
Did you have to kind of reel yourself back in? And because you just said before that you're more of like a 180, 230, 230. I'll grind it, and then I'll pop a big one here and there. But like, it sounds like you're grinding.
Sounds like your house on Friday night, Ocho.
No, but well, maybe, but when you it sounds like you weren't on the same like normal regime that you normally have. So did you have to almost reel yourself back in and say, all right, you know what, you are doing good. You said you didn't get down on yourself, so that's got to be an achievement in and of itself that you didn't say, man, usually I'm throwing 180, 190 in these conditions, and I threw a 160 and a 170. Some people pack it in right there.
True.
Well, no, you're exactly right. Your mindset changes when you're aware of the scoring pace prior to the start of it. For instance, when the guys on tour bowl the U.S. Open, they go there with the mentality that I need to throw 2 doubles a game and make all my spares because that means I'll average 215. If you go and bowl the Cheetah Championship circa 2006,
they're plus 800 after 1.
Parkersburg, you know, okay, I need to figure out a way to only miss twice a game to have a chance.
Right.
So it's not so
much that you think about which is harder. It's that if you have the mindset that is going to carry you to that game, it almost gives you a little leeway either way. If you get out of the chute on the cheetah pattern, you're okay. You're going to relax and throw it better. If you have a bad game at the U.S. Open, no one else is running away from it. So you can still work your way in. And I don't know if that's what he's going to say or not.
I mean, I think that was spot on. I mean, you even hit the you nailed the right impression too. Look at Mr. GQ. Like I said, even when he's just freeze framed, he's a beautiful guy. So while Johnny figures out his internet, what do you guys have up that way? Is it Spectrum or what the hell is it?
Are you talking to me?
I'm talking to you. You live in the same area ish.
Not really. We have internet, dude.
Who's the provider?
How do I know what his provider is?
Apparently the same one you got, you dipshit.
Dude, he's probably got. It looks like he's got a can of soup and a string. That's his provider right now.
That's kind of what it looks like. That's how it's acting.
Like he's in a tree fort, and he's like, "Hey, Billy, are you over there?" Not twice.
So, when do you start your league again? Ocho, is it coming up here in September, October, November, August?
September. Jesus Christ, I said September.
Okay,
Whenever I say so, that's when the league starts.
Okay, he's back. All right, so
what I said was
I figured out my issue. It was my issue on my end. I got it fixed now.
Well,
your hat.
I mean, yeah, it's more sideways now. That's what.
Were you still talking about how good I look when I'm frozen?
Yes.
Pretty much, yes.
Thank you, guys.
After I went on about the mindset of like, at the U.S. Open, let's say you do come out slow, you're not worried that someone's going to be plus 500 after, one block because you can still grind and get back. Whereas, like you said, the cheetah, and they're 2 different mindsets because, if you are behind in the cheetah, you might throw 300 2 times and get back in it too. So anyway,
exactly.
All right, fucking A, we don't even need this guy.
See? We're a good unit now. We actually migrate together.
We are.
Mine shrinking, man. I'm shrinking.
Yeah, and it's not even winter yet. So
this is not good.
I like your shirt, Ocho.
I love your shirt.
Right
I love your shirt.
I'm stupid.
All right, back to JP.
So go ahead. I was going to say, Rob,
go ahead. Your show. It's your show. Go ahead.
On the header, you said you wanted to revisit the discussion of Bowlero.
You're a genius. That's where I was going. Thank you for the segment.
Go ahead.
Months and months ago, I don't remember which episode it was, but if you haven't listened to our past archives, just subscribe to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. anywhere podcasts are found. Literally, Ocho, I heard you found another podcast today.
I was defrosting a freezer. There was a podcast in it.
There you go.
And I tried to tweet Johnny, but I didn't have his Twitter. What was his Twitter handle? I don't even remember it.
It is at JPJR07 on Twitter, and you are at the Dr. Ocho, OCHO.
Oh, that's
right. And you are at the Rad Rob Gaming. Rad Rob Gaming.
At Rad Rob Gaming. Thank you for that.
I almost got it right.
Not Rad Rob, but just at
Rad Rob.
So you can subscribe to us anywhere podcasts are found. Go back to our archives. We had a discussion about Bowlero since they own a majority of the bowling centers in this country. And I want to pull up a screenshot here. Give me 1 second here. I forgot which group it was. It may have been, I don't think it was a USBC group. It may have been one of the Hammer bowling groups on Facebook. And people were, just tearing Bowlero up. Johnny, just kind of give people a synopsis of what we were talking, what we said about Bowlero in the past.
Unmute.
You can unmute, or
we can do a lot of different things with that. Are we talking about recreational compared to competitive? Are we talking about where do you want to start?
I tell you what, you know what? That probably wasn't fair to lead you into that blindly. But we had asked if Bowlero was good for the sport or not, and here we are months and months later, and people are still complaining about it. And a lot of people don't even know that Bowlero not only owns a lot of bowling centers, but they own the PBA. And hold on, let me go. Wrong one. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry.
He's turned his back.
Okay, what's the USBC group? So Rob Moore posted, just learned the hard way that apparently Bowlero's policy, at least one of the newly acquired centers here in Wichita, is such that if you like to bowl in normal, not cosmic conditions, you have to try to find a lane during the regularly scheduled leagues, because outside of that, they are now full-time cosmic. Edit, this policy apparently doesn't necessarily extend to the two other centers here. But if it did, that would just leave one center left within the city where anyone can go practice in non-cosmic conditions, to which somebody replied in the thread, Bowlero is terrible for the sport of bowling. They are throwing money at the PBA to make themselves appear to give a crap. I am not buying it. Rob Moore went on to say, they just made it almost impossible for anyone to practice bowl or take lessons at the only center on the west side of Wichita. They had an exceptional pair of coaches giving lessons there daily that now can't give lessons there because nobody wants to take lessons in cosmic conditions. They were regularly churning out junior gold competitors. Why would the company that owns the PBA shut all that down? And that really intrigued me, Johnny, because that makes sense, right? Like, if you own this bowling center, and look, I know there's money in cosmic and being an entertainment center and laser tag and all that bullshit. We've talked about it before, how the death of the regular, mom and pop bowling chains. If they own the PBA, wouldn't it be in their best interest to cater to the league bowlers? Because that's who your next crop of PBA stars are going to be, not fucking cosmic bowlers.
From a business standpoint on their end, I think that their idea of growing the sport is different because we're in the year 2022 and bowling is still trying to be even considered a sport by the general public. And when you have something that is not viewed upon by the general public for so long as a sport,
right,
it's kind of hard to persuade that percentage of the people that are left to see it as such. Bowlero, in my eyes, believes that they don't care anymore about the sub 2 million USBC or members that do league bowl. They don't care about the average Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes and bowls 5 games a week or 10 games a week and does whatever he has to do on the lanes and then leaves. I think they're a little bit more trying to cater to the crowd that will pay the $12 for a drink at the bar, that will pay the $7 for the shoe rental or the $8.50 a game. And I guess in their eyes, maybe the bookings of the parties and like small intimate venues that people can like reserve certain sections of these lanes. From the business standpoint, I think as a whole, they must have crunched some numbers somewhere and decided this is the best thing to do.
Well, think about it. There's 330 million people that live in the U.S., and there's 2 million league bowlers. So the slice of the pie says there's more people that aren't on leagues that'll come to play Cosmic or whatever. Look, I'm throwing it just a dumb number out, but that's truly the average. The mean 330 million, I think, is what it is in the United States alone.
Right.
So they probably said it's much easier to get somebody to play Cosmic bowling than it is to join a league. I think. I don't know.
But again,
there's got to be somebody smart behind it.
Well, again, is it not a conflict of interest? Because, yes, you own the bowling center, but you own the PBA. And if you're not bringing up that next crop of bowlers, it doesn't make sense to me.
It might just be a tax write-off for them.
Bowlero's initiative is not to bring up pro bowlers.
No,
it's
a
to get
tax
people to
write-off,
watch
man.
bowling and say, oh, that's a Bowlero center. I've seen that on TV. I want to go into their
I'll go
bowling
there.
center. Because if you go there with a family of 4, it's more expensive than going to the movies.
Oh, it absolutely is. In our center, we only have one local center left that has traditional leagues and open bowling, and they charge per person per hour. You can't even pay per game anymore. So it's like $20 an hour. So if you want to go with a family of 4 or 5, not to mention
strikes.
No shit.
Oh, they charge you full price for each additional person?
Yeah.
They don't just go up like a small increment?
That's insane.
No.
Wait a minute. Time out. So you go to a Bowlero center with your wife and your 2 children, and you want a lane for 1 hour. That's $80?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
An hour, yes.
All right. I would have thought maybe with a family of 4 on 1 lane, because now they're charging you $80. What are you going to bowl? 1.5 games?
That's what I mean. So
If
they bowl the hour.
Oh my-
It should be $20
Well,
for the
then,
entire
yes.
hour.
If that's
it.
what they're doing from the business standpoint,
Well, they're making
100% that's better than leagues. If that's what they're doing, but if that's what they're doing, fuck that noise.
But if
Sorry,
that's what they're doing,
we're
who would
live and
even
I keep
pay
cursing.
that? Who would even pay that though? At that, I mean, I guess somebody every once in a while, but can it still be maintained at that? It's like that's like price gouging at the bowling alley. It sounds like
Pretty much.
Yeah,
I
sure
mean,
does.
look, they're busy all the time, and they do still run leagues, but there's 3 other centers in this area that are just straight up, Cosmic bowling and laser tag and arcades.
Well, Rob,
shit too.
the initial comment that you put up, here's my question, because truth be told, I haven't been in very many Bowlero centers, but Carolier is now it's Bowlero. It's not Carolier lanes. And the few times that I have been to Carolier, now granted, Carolier is an 82 lane facility, 48 lanes upstairs, 34 downstairs.
Right.
The downstairs is open bowling, at least when I've been there. When I go there at noon, if I want to go do Cosmic upstairs, I can do it. And if I want to bowl regular, I can bowl downstairs. I'm assuming in, let's say, a standard 32, 24, 40 lane bowling alley, they can't do something like that. So all these people that are saying that, Jesus, my God, I didn't know that either.
Because most centers obviously aren't as big as Carolier. So if you have, like, just say Bradley Bowl used to be 44 lanes. They shrunk that down to like 4, and they call them VIP lanes. That's how bad it's gotten there. But for most houses that are, like 25, 26 to 32 lanes, whatever, don't have the luxury of splitting off half for open bowling or splitting off half for a league because, they can't attract that many people. And look, Cosmic bowling is fun. Kids love it. Like it's a great family thing to do. But I'm just thinking in my own brain, which is fucked to begin with, if you own one thing like the PBA and you want to develop new stars, you literally can't because you're cutting yourself off at the local center level by not having leagues and tournaments. That's just the way I think about it.
I see it that way as well. Again, because I'm a player. I'm on the side of the bowler. I want what's best for the bowler and the industry as a whole for the professional bowler. I don't care about people that want to go bowling once a week in house shoes and get a couple pitchers of beer and throw house balls up the middle of the lane. I don't care about that. I would go do that with my friends once in a while, but I would go to a facility that offered it at 11 p.m. on a Friday night.
It used to be like a weekend thing only. Like even when like Bradley started transitioning to that, it would be at night and it would be on the weekend, and the rest of the week was open bowling and tournaments. I don't see why they can't try to cater to everybody. I mean, just give a little bit. Don't have it like 100%. This is what we're doing. It's all cosmic bowling and games and bullshit. Like, you think you want to keep some of that crowd.
I bowled on a league on Friday nights years ago, and it was basically pretty much after our league that they'd do the whole cosmic gimmick and everything, and then I'd see how many stains I had in my shirt. But that was the only time I ever went putt bowling also, because I'm the one guy that doesn't look at arrows or anything like that, so it was great for me. Everybody's signing up for putt bowling. All the lights are off, and I would clean house every time on Friday nights because I didn't have to see I can't see anything. Yeah, me neither. I'm seeing 20 pins, and I'm knocking all of them down. So that was Ocho's way of winning pot bowling. Other than that, I
understand that too.
I didn't think it was an actual thing during the day, really. I thought it was like literally a night thing only.
Let me ask you this, Johnny, and let's equate it to other sports. There's only a select few that actually make it to the professionals. Be football or basketball. Football, you have so many people in so many different colleges, and only, like 10% of them make it. I guess you can say that's the same thing about bowling. So if there are kids going to college for bowling and stuff like that, they're probably going to stay on the path and eventually work their way up to becoming a professional. And that's what feeds the PBA. But again, from Bowlero's standpoint, if all the centers went to cosmic bowling and nobody was bowling leagues anymore, can you only rely on kids going to college to play the sport? How are the kids even going to know that bowling is a thing in college to begin with if they only know cosmic bowling?
Well, I think the technology of the sport now has kept the younger generation intrigued. Okay. I think that comparable to even like gaming, even online gaming and playing Call of Duty, Fortnite, and all these other games that people play, I think the intricacies of the sport are keeping people involved. People are very big into layouts. They're very big into science nowadays. They're big into technology. So the introduction of things like a Specto or a Spark, where you can have imagery on the lanes and play interactive games, they're trying to bring some kind of new spark. And that generation, especially the youth that I see, especially at Rev Rates, it's cool to see. There's always going to be a batch of kids that are into the sport, always.
Right.
And I do kind of understand why we're trying to figure out different ways to generate more people in the sport. We've talked about the money at the pinnacle level. We always know money drives a lot of people. You tell somebody Ocho's stature and somebody my build, just your normal average Joe that's walking on the street every day, hey, you can be a professional athlete and make $500,000 a year. All you got to do is learn how to bowl. More people are going to bowl. So I think they're at least trying to figure out different ways to get to that point that they can offer that. And we've seen little signs of it here and there. So I'm not 1,000% going to shit all over Bowlero, and I'm certainly not going to shit over any other entity that believes the same thing to be true or possible.
Well, I will, because they suck. But
yeah, no, I think the USBC sucks. Like I don't.
We can all agree on that.
I don't think Bowlero sucks. I think the USBC sucks. There's a big difference in like my level of suck. I don't mind people that have ideas to try and alter something that's been struggling for so long. I do have an idea. I do have a problem with people that dictate the outcome of something based off how they feel about it. There's a very big difference between those two.
And they're only talking about the professional base or the professional and amateur bowler, not they have no bearing on any cosmic or any guy who's throwing a house ball down the lane too, and they're making it difficult. So yeah, that's a good point too.
That's my big difference between the two of them.
I'd like to read this comment from Josh Gersten. League bowling is also struggling because high schools and local colleges have programs, sport and challenge shot tournaments. Leagues are pulling kids and more competitive adults from traditional leagues. He says Yaba and ABC equals, it's USBC. So I guess that is an issue. Look, when I grew up, junior leagues were like almost more popular and busier than regular leagues. Because I mean, like, we ran like 4 leagues on a Saturday. In the winter at Bradley Bowl, it had several coaches up and down the lanes, and kids of all ages, all the way from 6 to 16. I mean, all 44 lanes were in use.
18.
Shut up, Coach. And now I can't even imagine how many youth leagues there are. I don't even know if the JBT is even around anymore.
There's versions of it around there. There's still out here, they call it something. It's still JBT, but there's a letter in front of it. God, I don't know what it is. And there's also a JBT tour out west, also Arizona, California, Nevada, Texas. So that is still there's still those opportunities for kids to bowl.
Now, you mentioned rev rates. Sorry. Are there more centers like Justin and Parker Center that you know of?
No, that's their facility is similar to, say, the Kegel Training Center. They have all the bells and whistles. Anything you would want to monitor your own game with, they have. Thank you, Stephanie. PJBT.
Yeah.
So that's like, at least that's the newer version of the JBT.
Peanut jelly and butter? Oh,
yes, that's exactly what it is.
On toast.
On toast.
With the crust cut off.
So then what Parker and Justin are doing is revolutionary. Do you hope more people follow suit?
I hope that there is enough people into the sport that what they and Kegel and places like those kinds of training facilities have done grows to a point that they need those facilities around the U.S. because there's that much interest in the sport.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of thing that once the interest is generated, you can just, leaps and bounds any direction you want with a facility like that because you let people knocking on the door all day, every day. Coop, I miss you. That is my state and county and everything else you could think of, teammate from back in Vegas, and hoping to get out there soon, and would love to see you, dude. Thanks for showing up.
Jerry Marr says youth leagues struggle out here because of so many other sports kids can choose from. Video games, parents not wanting to take their kids out to play sports. A lot of centers lost junior leagues, but are slowly coming back because parents see the kids can get scholarships for college easier than any other sport. Is that true?
Bingo. That is, I was actually going to say that before he wrote it.
Gotcha.
So, basically, the only other thing that I'll add to what Jerry said was a combo that I had with my dad the other day. We were talking about the difficulty of, say, Greg Tack's tournament or tournaments like that say basically, quote unquote, they're not playable. They're unplayable almost. Like your main goal is, it's like bowling the Peterson where there's a wall in front of you. They open doors, the pins weigh different weights and this and that. Like they want you to bowl like shit. They want you to finish under. They don't want you to average 200. And my dad's biggest argument has always been the other thing that although people are still interested in bowling at a young age, the one thing kids really look forward to when they go and bowl is knocking down the pins. They like to watch themselves progress and get better. And in his eyes, and I tend to agree with him, although I understand both sides of the coin, like fucking always. On his side of the coin, he says, teach the kids the basics, let them grow into their bodies, let them watch themselves progress. They go from a 110 to a 150 to a 200 bowler, which is pretty standard nowadays. He says you throw these kids out on these patterns, and now not only are they not sure how to play the pattern, especially when you don't tell them what the pattern is at the start of the event, or you limit them to 1 or 2 bowling balls for the event. Now you're telling them everything you've learned isn't going to work. So now you're on your own at the ripe old age of 13 and try and figure out this 36-foot 2-to-1 ratio in this house that has the topography of my asshole. It's nonsense. So what happens is the question is, Neil Feingold from Howlane's always said, my bowlers bitch and come back if they strike, but they bitch and go to a different center if they don't strike. At a youth age, one of the biggest things you have to take into consideration is what you're doing to the kid's brain. At 13 years old, if a kid believes they can be the best in the world, usually by the time they're 20, they are. If they're second-guessing themselves at the younger age because they're limited by the elements in front of them in a sport that they're supposed to be competitive in, that's when all shit goes awry.
What does it do to their brain when they bowl on a pattern that's the topography of your asshole?
In other words, if you're bowling on a very difficult pattern and you're on lanes 33 and 34 at South Point, you may as well just go home.
So there isn't a flag in the middle of it that you take out and tend the green.
It's so ugly. It's such a mess that there's not even
there's no pattern to begin with. It's just,
you just shouldn't even look for something good. Like there's nothing good there. Just leave it alone.
Like a shrub that's just growing in all directions. I got you.
Pretty much, yeah.
See, that's not the visual I had of Johnny's asshole.
But I mean, that's what you get on Straight Up 5.
That's right. You get the hard hitting.
You guys know me when I get off on a rant, it doesn't matter.
How is that not a shirt? This lane has the topography of my asshole.
It should be.
How is that not a T-shirt that we're selling at Rev Rates? Where's Mike Ormsby? I'm messaging him right now.
Do it right now. I'll wear it at the desk.
I'm telling you, we need
to him and said he better get on here.
We need to get merchandise out for Straight Up 5. But, unfettered. That's right, Steph. We are unfettered. Completely. That was very unfettered.
We could have a fettered and an unfettered shirt, really.
But truth be told, though, the entire thought, I think, carries water. And I think that in the grand scheme of the actual comment itself, you have to breed the kids to be prepared to bowl on sport patterns because that's all they encounter anymore. But in the same respect, these kids that still have the mom and pop facilities that have the soup in the middle and the hook on the gutter, they're going to learn an entirely different game of bowling than the kids that grow up in, say, Florida near Kegel, or somewhere close to Mark Baker, or somewhere close to Chris Barnes, or one of these world-renowned coaches or these facilities where from the minute they start, they're similar to gymnasts. Oh, I can teach you how to do a cartwheel, but if you go to this school, this guy's going to teach you how to do a, what do they call, triple axel or something, be the best floor exercise competitor ever by the time you're 7 or 8. It's very different worlds, just the conversation itself. So
now, do they still have, like back in my day, we had in like golf, we had local pros at each center. Like our local pro was Pete Couture. God rest his soul. Was that a thing when you were growing up too? Did you have anybody like that at Carolier? Well, obviously the best in the world bowled at Carolier, but you know what I mean? Like, was there a local pro giving lessons?
Obviously at Carolier was my dad. Parker was more the pro at Howell Lanes, but at Carolier you had my dad, Kelly Kulik, Marianne DeRupo, and then some local legends. You had people that were well respected in the bowling community and within each of those centers. But I would say that typically every center that you come across will house at least one of the best pros, if not the best pro in that area.
Does that still happen today? Like, say at South Point out in Vegas when you were there?
Yeah, it does. I mean, South Point has changed now because now you have Marshall Kent, you have Darren Tang, you have, even though Anthony Simonson doesn't call at home when Anthony walks in, he's the best bowler in the bowling alley. And then you have more of the local prodigies who have been there, like a David Haynes, who everybody in the bowling world knows, and probably people outside the bowling world, but not as many that would know, say, a Simonson or a Darren Tang or a Marshall.
Oh, Joe, let me ask you this.
Like what Sonny just said, Joe Hutchinson, one of the best bowlers ever, one of my dad's closest friends. That's her bowling center, Southside. There's their pro. You know, so everybody's definitely got one affiliated in that center for sure.
Oh, Joe, let me ask you.
Was that guy related to Randy Couture at all, the wrestler who became a UFC heavyweight champion?
Yes. It was his, well, they're kind of a little bit of age difference. I think it was his nephew, to be quite honest. Yeah, if I remember right.
His second nephew twice removed or something like that.
Something like close to that, yes. Yeah. Yes. Also, and Pete used to also be married to Kim Adler, who was a fantastic pro bowler herself, too.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Ocho.
She's not that old. He's dead?
He was in his 70s when he died.
He cradle robbed.
Yeah. No, she's, I don't know. I'm not going to guess, but I think she's in her 50s now. But anyway.
Hey, cradle
semantics.
robbing.
If you've never watched Kim Adler bowl,
I know of her because she was on a chiropractic magazine one time.
Dude,
that's fun.
She's like beast mode when she bowls. She's aggressive and she's fun to watch. You should check it out.
Well, I remember she was a cutie too, wasn't she? Or
very pretty, yes.
She still is, man. What the fuck? She's not. Come on, Ocho.
Very, very pretty woman. Yes.
What am I saying wrong? She's not a cutie.
JD was Carolier's pro, so Adam Gretzky.
I agree with that too. Yes. In all elements of Carolier.
Right.
Inside, outside. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Can I ask Ocho this question, please?
No.
Ocho, as the common man, working hard with your hands, the generic league bowler at Howell Lanes every Thursday night. If Cosmic Bowling goes permanent and they cancel your league, you're not a tournament bowler. You're not a pro. Are you going to go somewhere else, or are you just going to give up the sport? Give up bowling.
No, I won't. I mean, honestly, I feel like just because the bowling alley has done so many, I've made more money out of it, not because of bowling, but because of people that don't take care of themselves and they injure themselves all the time. So I'm still way ahead as far as money I've made off them than they've made off me. So I have a loyalty to that. No, honestly, and the owner was so loyal to me that I'm not doing that out of loyalty. I don't have a reason to go anywhere else, even though now it's a freaking 40-minute drive.
Right.
I can't imagine that would ever happen at that place, and I shudder to think. But honestly,
I mean, I would have said the same
I
thing
don't
about
know.
Petraglia Bowl 10,
No, but
20
I
years
don't know.
ago.
I don't. But here's the other problem: is I don't know that it would hurt me too much if I just put them on the rack for a few years either, and that's just me. I mean, I can't help it.
Okay. All right.
I
That's
look
fair.
forward to it, but it's
Right.
not bowling, and it's hanging out with my nephew and the freaking meathead. You know what I mean? Like
And seeing Johnny's dad and having no idea who he was.
And that was a while ago. Now I know who he is. Once he recognized me, I was like, oh, okay, I'll pretend I know who you are.
Oh, Ocho. Oh,
Exactly.
everybody knows that.
It's still a social. I want to do good. I'm not doing bad. I finished 215.
Well, you get the big red wiffle bat. You're always going to do well.
I got the big red wiffle bat. Who can't hit the freaking pocket with the big red wiffle bat? But my
Right.
point is, if I shoot 540, which rarely happens, I'm still hanging out with these idiots. And honestly, the league I'm on is a bunch of fun idiots. So if it's more that for me, and that's why I'm not that good. I'm not saying that I should be better. I
hold
bowl
on.
3 games a week. I don't practice.
Right. That's true. But you did go out to Nationals last year and bowl pretty well for an amateur.
I didn't. No, I did not bowl well at all.
No, you did.
No, you really want to know my icing on this convo right now? I'm gonna compare it to a conversation with Dad.
Your life is spinning out of control.
This is the one you had with him.
Sorry, John.
Don't wreck his thought. He had something good.
Sorry, John. Sorry.
Oh, you've successfully got me twice now. So hang on.
Twice. Yeah.
My dad shoots anywhere from like 83 to 87 on the golf course.
Mhm.
Just for the newbies that haven't heard this story. And every time he gets off the golf course, he tells me how many greens he 3-putted. It's usually about 6 or 7. And then he says he either played decent or he played really well, but he's always talking about the fact that he had 6 or 7 greens that he 3-putted on. And the only thing my dad ever does, he says, well, my friend Bobby told me to change the grip on my hand. So I'm spreading my index finger this way. I'm overlapping my fingers this way. He tried to explain to me what it means to go against the grain or go with it, and slope and undulation and blah, 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 blah. Every term in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then he goes out and this time I'm experimenting with a blade putter instead of a mallet putter. And he goes through every nook and cranny about what he should do in order to become a better putter, other than
practice putting.
Hey! That is what I equate my spare shooting to this weekend. I had every excuse under the sun. The only thing I didn't do was I didn't prep for it. So why did I start talking about that? You threw me off with my life spinning out of control. What was I saying?
Well, we were talking about
I'm glad you called it back,
me,
though,
would I be affected by the league having Cosmic? And I say, as much as I look forward to it, it's my fun night out. So much like golf too. Like if I shoot 84, if I shoot 104, I'm still having a great time talking about it afterwards, during. That's therapy for me rather than it's competitive too. I don't want to say it like that though, because I don't want to walk out saying, "Oh, we got swept for the 8th week in a row."
Well, if you're confused how to present it, whether it's therapy or fun, what do you think the average Joe is going to do? But back to Rob's question, if Howell Lane started the Cosmic and I lived 20 minutes from Howell, I would drive to Tom's River, or I would drive to North Brunswick, or I would drive somewhere I would drive to Hope Lawn. I would drive somewhere with a bowling alley that didn't have Cosmic. But the average guy who goes and bowls at Howell Lanes that lives in Four Seasons up the road about 10 minutes and likes to pick up the paper and coffee on the way and bowl his 3 games, he ain't driving to Tom's River to go bowling. No way.
But he's also meeting his 2 buddies that live 3 blocks away that go to the same bowling alley too, that feel the same way. So it's almost like
So maybe those 3 guys pick up an entirely different activity that they do.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to come here.
They start hitting a driving range. Who knows?
Bocce, something.
Oh, hold on. Ryan Mullen says, someone please let JPJ know that his hat is a bit crooked. What is with the hatred for the crooked hat tonight?
That's my old brother-in-law, so he's allowed to say whatever he wants. And
I miss you. The song by David Allan Coe.
I miss you.
Ain't gonna call Hank Williams Jr. anymore. Anybody know that?
Yes.
Ain't gonna call Johnny Petraglia Jr. anymore.
They're making me feel.
what all his daddy done before. All right, there you go.
They're making me feel so lonesome I could cry. See what I did there?
Is that Elvis or something?
No, that was Hank Williams.
Not Junior. I was talking about Hank
Oh,
Williams Jr.
well,
Jr.
and I threw the senior
That
at
was
you.
David Allen Coe. That's right. We were listening to
Speaking
Senior
of
in the backyard.
Senior.
That's true.
Speaking of Senior, has he made the trip up to Maine to watch his team bowl?
He is there. Yes.
Are you going to go there?
His team has not bowled yet.
Are you going to go up there and hang out?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm gonna bowl the next Chacos event up in Scranton, Pennsylvania this
Speaking
weekend.
of Chacos, Adam Wolf wanted to know earlier, Johnny, who would you choose for the pro for Chacos?
I've only bowled there once. I don't know. I don't know who's there frequently. So I can't even say. I've never practiced there. I've only bowled one tournament in that facility, and let's put it this way: the last one that I bowled had at least 15 guys bowling the event that were capable of being the house pro.
Gotcha.
So I don't really actually know. And Dan says, in the end, are you bowling for fun or for competition? I couldn't bowl Cosmic since I'm highly competitive. Also, that's Elvis, Love Me Tender.
I thought that was Elvis. Love Me Tender.
I'm so lonesome I could cry is Hank Williams. Sorry, Daniel.
Boy, don't need
I'm so lonesome I could cry. I was not singing Love Me Tender. But, and that Dan is another one. Dan's another guy that like I bowled with at Carolier, and he was competitive enough to not only be competitive, but like stake himself against other people that wanted to that carried that same thing. If you take that element away from that bowler, I don't believe in the eyes of a entity like Bowlero that amount of bowlers in comparison to the general public of the recreational standpoint inhibits their ROI.
Right.
You know, that's what I think their business mentality is towards the entire thing.
Or it's a giant tax write-off because they got more money than they know what to. Or maybe the PBA's their tax write-off at this point.
Exactly.
Do you think? And I don't know the percentage of how many centers Bowlero owns as opposed to other companies or other local owners. So I mean, I would like to actually do some research and look at stats, and maybe we can bring this back next week or for another week to talk about what percentage of the centers do they own, because I do want to know, because maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe there are more centers that are out there that are churning out league bowlers and all that. And maybe, maybe Bowlero just owns a small chunk of it. So I would do my own due diligence, which I never do. And I'll come back we'll revisit this, at another time. And I'll say, maybe I was wrong. Maybe, Bowlero only owns 20% of the centers in this country. I don't know what it is. And I don't think either of you guys know either. So I'll find that out, and I'll, we'll have this conversation again. As we're wrapping up here, Johnny.
Yeah.
You said your love for bowling has kind of been, the spark has been, relit. You plan on getting involved in more tournaments, correct?
For the time that I'm home, yes.
Okay. Have you kind of put a timetable of when you plan on leaving or going back to Vegas? Or are you going to stick around you should bowl with Howell Lanes this winter with Ocho. That'd be amazing.
The time frame is dictated half by me and half by her.
Fair enough.
If I do my part, we'll see how it goes.
Right. Or you could be there for the next 10 years. So, okay. Well,
that would be I think if it was 10 years, it would be my choice, which is not a good one for me.
Or you're crushing it in tournaments, and now you just can't lose, so you're just freaking sweeping the whole freaking East.
Big red wiffle bat, right?
If I crush it in tournaments, I'm bringing the fairy tale back there to her.
That's fair.
If I suck in tournaments, then I got to figure out a different way to fucking make money, which I don't want.
JD says he's keeping you here forever. That's a lot of things. Like, you can legally be kidnapped and kept in New Jersey. I'm just saying.
If there was one person I'd be okay with kidnapping me, it would be JD.
Okay, Daniel, thank you. The answer is 7%. See what
he is definitely right about that.
7% of the 4,200 total in the U.S. So it is a very small piece of the pie. So sorry, Bowlero. I hate you, but I don't hate you as much.
Dan and I had a big argument about Virga as opposed to ground clutter, and because he's a meteorologist. If he does it for a living or not, I'm not sure. But he threw these terms out at me. I'm like, I've never heard the word Virga before. Can you explain that to me? I just had to mention that because for some reason it just popped in my head.
He's a smart guy. I mean, he's not as smart as Ocho, but I mean, who is?
Do the whole like Sirius and Cumulus and Stratus and all that shit with clouds.
I know what those are. I know the shapes of those for sure. Those are
the shape.
There's no shape of a Stratus cloud. Jesus Christ, it's a blanket. God damn it.
Speaking of blankets, Ocho, you got a baby coming up here. When's the lady due?
Yeah, congratulations, man.
I have no clue. I don't know what you're talking about.
way to take an interest in that. I had nothing. I was trying to throw something to you and be funny and
Try, but you can't let go.
And out of control. Seems the whole world is out to get you.
I had the wrong instrument.
All right, we got 5 minutes left. Anything else you guys want to cover?
And nothing seems right.
All right. Anything you guys want to cover?
No, actually, I enjoyed, as always, talking to you guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and listening. And I'm going to go watch the recorded version of the live show that was happening to see what they look like in Portland this year. What did Angela say? I missed it. There we go. Hang on, wait.
You're the most beautiful person in the world, which we know. No. She said there are 3,400 bowling centers that are members of the BPAA. Bowlero owns about 300 centers.
Well, that's
so,
just
They're just 7%. Is it?
No, that would be about 9.5%, wouldn't it?
6 to 8.
No, 9.5. Jesus Christ.
Virga is precipitation that evaporates before it hits the ground.
Oh, like when you shoot a... Never mind.
Like I said. Jerry, the weather's been unbelievable since I arrived here on June 2nd.
Of course, you heard all the first time, bro.
I mean, everybody out here is complaining about how hot it is. Meanwhile, to me, the humidity has been dismal compared to normal. It's somewhere in the low 90s, mid 90s. It's stunningly beautiful outside. I'm in sweatpants, and I can't wait to go outside with a hoodie on now. I mean, it's lovely here.
You know, when you enter a state, it automatically goes up 20 degrees. So that's just the way it is. You bring the heat. So Ocho, one more time. What's your Twitter handle?
I don't know.
It's at DDR Ocho. Johnny at JPJR07. I am at Rad Rob Gaming. Follow us all on Twitter. And if you want to catch the audio version of this podcast, please subscribe to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Literally anywhere podcasts are found. Like Ocho said earlier, he found one defrosting his freezer. And that's just, you never know where you're going to find a podcast. But if you want to find this one, you can find it on all your favorite podcast apps. Guys, we'll be back next week for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Thank you, everyone, for showing up tonight on the Rad Rob Radio Network. See you next week.